and catch all your questions. But I quickly want to introduce here our Feed the Hunger representatives. And I'm very, very pleased to have them join us to tell us a little bit about growing your business with loans. I'd like to introduce the CEO, Patti Chang, joining us today, Aaron Ellis, who's the Senior Loan Officer, and Shandis Ching, who is their Business Development Specialist. I thank you for participating with us today, and I'm going to turn the mic over to you. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, Marla, and hi, everybody. Happy New Year. Thank you so much for joining us. I really want to thank Marla and EWOC again just for giving us this opportunity. It's a great way to start the new year. Marla and I started talking last year, 2021. So we're really happy to be here this morning just to be able to partner with the great work that EWOC is doing and hopefully to give you guys some helpful information for growing your businesses. So we are happy to be here, and we apologize that one of our team members is not able to be here today, but Eric, who's on the Big Island, sends his wishes as well. So today we just like to start with a couple of slides about Feed the Hunger Fund. So we'll explain a little bit about ourselves, and then we will get into just how to grow your business with loans, not specific to Feed the Hunger Fund, but we'll go over that. So Aaron will be our driver for this morning. Okay, let's see. Yeah. Okay, and I think we're gonna actually start off with Patti. So we'll have Patti go ahead and explain a little bit about Feed the Hunger Fund.
Okay, so when we began Feed the Hunger Fund, it really was to address women of color. And for the first 2 years, 100% of all of our loans went to women of color internationally. So we made thousands of very small microloans, but really keeping in mind all of the hurdles and the obstacles and how do we as women of color overcome these. So the mission of Feed the Hunger Fund is really to work with you, to work with our borrowers, our funders, people in the community, to provide resources, technical assistance, as well as loan capital, all in the effort of creating greater security, food security, equity, justice. And that's why actually we are delighted to be talking with you.
You might mute your laptop too.
I think we have maybe Christina.
Sorry, I'm going to mute that right now. I apologize.
It's good. Thank you. And so our team of both our board and staff is really working on ground in Hawaii to meet with individual businesses, business owners, startups, et cetera, to provide the resources to those who are often left out of the greater financial institutions. And we realize that it's a little tougher if you're a woman business owner, that there are more challenges to face. For a man who goes after $100,000 and receives it, a woman will probably get about $57,000. This is on a small scale. As you move up the scale and you're looking at venture capital, my goodness, a woman will receive $37,000 compared to $1.3 million that a man will typically get. And these are not even for businesses that succeed, right? Many fail. So that there are certain hurdles that we know get in the way. And that's what our staff is passionate about helping with our potential borrowers. We know that it's hard to have the collateral. We know that it's hard if you're a startup business or if you have other responsibilities. And so we provide probably as much pre-loan coaching and technical assistance, if not more so, than we do post-loan. And Feed the Hunger Fund is in a very favorable position of, when we initially started, we're making $100 and $1,000 loans, and now they actually have gone up to about $250,000. But our sweet spot, as Aaron will tell you, is more in the $50,000 to $60,000 range. So with that, I am going to turn it over, I believe, to my colleague Aaron, who will get much more in depth about the loan process.
Thank you, Patti. Thank you for joining us. Hi, everybody. So since inception, Feed the Hunger's deployed about $6 million. The majority of those funds are in Hawaii, 4.4 million, 2 million in California, and as Patti alluded to in the early days, the international is about 350,000. The sectors that we have lent to, this is in Hawaii with a Hawaii focus, is fairly broad, from food services, agriculture, manufacturing, wholesale trade, retail trade, information services and technology, healthcare and social assistance. You can see the dollar amounts have primarily gone into agriculture, restaurants, food services, and manufacturing, like slaughterhouses, food processing, value add production. We do have loans that go out to folks outside of that. You can see a luthier there. We have a ukulele manufacturer out in Waianae. We recently funded a pet crematory on Kauai as a single mother following her passion project during COVID. And so we were very happy to help her set up her business and move her family over there. Let's see here. So I'll just jump right into talking about when it's appropriate to take out a loan. It's, if your business is growing, you've got cash flow needs, you need to purchase equipment, pay for labor, buy inventory because you're expanding, or you're trying to increase your efficiency of operations by purchasing equipment that streamlines your manufacturing process. From the lender perspective, I think it's good to understand this as a borrower going through the application process, but the lender wants to see that you have sufficient cash flow to pay your existing bills and your new loan payment, and have some cash left over in the case something happens, which inevitably it might. So those are sort of the criteria that a lender will look at, and we'll explore that a little later on. What are the appropriate uses for debt? Typically, you're going to buy a fixed asset that can be used as collateral. This is usually the easiest thing to get a loan for, because the asset you're buying can secure the debt for the lender. A working capital, paying for people, paying for consumables and contract services can be a little harder just because there's no physical asset that can secure that debt. So you'll typically need to come up with some other collateral. A third use of debt is debt consolidation, perhaps, and this is totally not uncommon. A lot of small businesses, startups will be using their own credit card to pay for things, or securing high interest rate short-term online debt from some online sources. They make it pretty easy to get those loans. It's completely normal and understandable why people end up in a situation where they need to consolidate some of this high interest debt. What I would say from the lender's perspective is that you probably couldn't get a loan just for the sole use of covering that debt. You'll probably want to have a portion of it be for a fixed asset. A traditional lender will probably, they're the one that you probably gave you the credit card, but you'll usually be referred to some sort of credit counseling services first, and depending on how severe the situation might be, CDFIs would do that as well. A CDFI though can work with you to give you a small loan to help build that credit and build your lending history. So I'll have Shandis talk through some of our borrowers, and I can go through some of the situations in their use of debt as we move through. So first up, I guess Shandis, you want to talk a little bit about Istanbul Restaurant?
Yeah, so these are some real life examples of some of our borrowers and how, what Aaron went over is when is it appropriate, what are appropriate uses for debt, when to take out a loan. The first one is Istanbul Restaurant, and I don't know if any of you on Oahu are familiar with them, but they are very popular. They're in Kaka'ako. Chef Ahu, who is right there on the right, and those are her parents. They started a food stand, I guess, at KCC Farmers Market. They have an amazing story, which hopefully you guys get a chance to watch one day. I'll send the link to Marla. We did a little mini documentary on them. But they started off cooking food at the farmers market, and they recognized that their food was popular, there was high demand, and they had a dream of creating a brick and mortar. So essentially they took out a loan, and Aaron can speak more to this, but they took out a loan to help go towards moving their business from farmers market to a brick and mortar. And if you are familiar with them, they actually opened their brick and mortar right when the shutdowns of the pandemic happened. So they'd taken out a loan and the pandemic happened, shutdowns are happening. But despite that, they have stuck with it. They have grown. They are wildly popular on Oahu, and they're doing great now. They've actually graduated from our program and have moved on, but they are just an amazing, they're an amazing story. And Aaron, did you want to talk about their specific?
I can provide some of the specific details and how they utilize that. Is they had an existing cash flow from their business, but needed additional capital to expand to this much more expensive brick and mortar restaurant. They were using that existing cash flow, and they were able to secure some debt, but they needed additional debt, which we provided. They struggled through, getting the building permits. They were delayed in opening, only to have their grand opening day was literally the day that the governor shut down restaurants for COVID. So that was terrible. But we were able to work with them, and be flexible and allow them. I think we gave them 3 or 6 months of no deferred payments. Just extended the maturity date of the loan that way. But that was an instance of really using debt for working capital. And we were able to underwrite it based on cash flow from in a separate business, well, same business, but different entity side of it. That's Istanbul. Hawaiian Island Cafe. Shandis,
Yeah, so this is Monique Mook. She is a native Hawaiian entrepreneur. Her cafe is out in Waimanalo. They're known for acai bowls, fresh juices. She makes an amazing patele stew, which if you're a fan of patele stew, please go and try. But Monique, she had started her business out in 2014, and then about a few years later, she needed to move her cafe. And so she came to Feed the Hunger Fund, looking for funds to help her with her move. So that is Monique, and she's still operating out there in Waimanalo for takeout and dine-in when dine-in is available these days.
Yeah, her loan was a combination of fixed assets. She had to buy some coolers and that sort of thing, as well as working capital for the leasehold improvements on the new restaurant. And this was an existing business that had a cash flow history that we were able to underwrite the loan on. However, she was in a situation where she couldn't qualify from a traditional bank. Just the income was a little low.
And so we have one more real life example, and that would be Upcycle Hawaii. This is Maddie Larson. She's right there in the middle, standing next to me in the stripes. This is at the Made in Hawaii Fair. However, this past year, her business is in Maui. So Maddie is an amazing woman entrepreneur. Her business takes recycled plastics. So like the wrapper that your toilet paper comes in, any kind of plastic bags. And they have this process where they recycle it and make it into amazing, beautiful products. Oh, shucks, I wish I had my keychain with me, but she's just such a great businesswoman, and she has grown her team actually during COVID. And Erin can speak to where she was at and what she used her funds for.
Yeah, so this was a startup, and she had been using credit cards to run, to get the business going. There was a bit of debt consolidation that needed to happen. We started out, well, not just us, there were other organizations, I think Slow Money Hawaii or Kiva, Hawaii Food Producers Fund, was at the Kahala Center, was able to give them some smaller bits of capital to grow the business, help reduce some of that debt load. Then we came in with a slightly larger loan, and then just earlier last year we gave another even larger loan as the business has grown. So I think she's a great example of coming in on the lower side of the ability to borrow and really growing the business up to a nice. Hopefully the next loan she can move on to a commercial bank. But yeah, so that's Upcycle Hawaii. I think that's all the borrowers we covered now. I can talk about more later. I don't know if Shandis, do you want me to go through this or?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So Feed the Hunger Fund, we support our borrowers in these ways here. We've got pre-loan assistance, which is really walking the borrowers through the application process, helping them get all their documents together, identifying what's needed, referring them to support services if that's required. We do need tax documents filed. So if you haven't filed recently, that's something that, we'll say, hey, you gotta go get that done. You can come back afterwards. After the loan is closed, we can provide some of the light bookkeeping support, financial analysis. We have networks throughout the state and that we can refer you to if you needed a farmer to buy produce from, or you needed somebody that can help do some value add for the product you're making. And we have an online TA platform. I know Shandis is able to share the link for that. There's a lot of online resources there that I would encourage folks to check out. If you need to draft a business plan or work on pro formas, there's templates there for that. I don't know, other things you want to comment on, Shandis?
I just want to mention that the online TA platform is for anybody, whether you are. It's something that we offer to anybody, whether you become a borrower or not. So I will definitely share that information with Marla and her team so she can share it out. But yeah, I mean, these things are the documents that Erin mentioned. Those are all things that you would need when applying to any loan, not only with Feed the Hunger Fund, but for us, we do definitely help walk you through gathering those documents, because I know for a lot of the borrowers that I've worked with, the list of documents required in addition to an application can sometimes be overwhelming, and so we are here to help with any of that and where to get those things if you don't already know.
So yeah, here's the list of the documents, sorry, that you will need for our loan application, and I would say 90% of the other loan applications that are out there. So file tax returns for the last 3 years, financial statements, a credit report, a credit score, a list of collateral that will be offered for pledge for the loan, a signed loan application, a monthly budget, a business plan. It does not have to be complicated. Really just want to see that you understand your business and your market. A resume for the project principals, pay stubs, bank statements, and a cash flow projection. So it does look like a lot, but I would say that the main things to start with would be tax returns and a credit report and a credit score. That can really get us figuring out how big of a loan you might qualify for. The rest helps answer some other questions that I can show you what those are moving forward, which is right here. So the underwriting process that we use is these metrics here. We've got personal net worth, the GDSC, which is the Global Debt Service Coverage Ratio, which is probably the most important one that we look at first off. And what that is what is your ability to service the monthly loan payment? So let's say your monthly loan payment is $100 every month. We would like to see that at the end of every month, after paying all your bills, you would have $120. Meaning that you've got the ability to make that $100 payment, and then you've got some portion of cash left over in case other things happen. That once we calculate that, that really allows us to size the amount of debt that we would be able to lend to you. And let's say it's too low, your debt service coverage ratio. What we could do is either lower the size of the loan, or we could try to find somebody that might co-sign it, and we could include their income to go towards calculating the debt service coverage ratio. We do use a credit score. We look at that, but everybody's, oh, I got bad credit. Don't worry about that. That's okay. These metrics are all weighted equally, and we just take an average at the end. So what that means is you can have a bad score, a poor score in several of these and still get qualified for a loan. So we're able to be flexible that way. Some other ones on here that might be worth noting or worth explaining. So the quick ratio is really your ability to make your monthly payments. You've got other debt besides our debt, and how much cash do you have on hand to make those payments. That's what that is. And then the business debt ratio is how much debt does the business carry relative to total assets the business has overall. Banks typically don't want to lend to a business that has more debt than they have assets. So that's an important ratio to understand. Some of the other ones I think are pretty straightforward. How long has the business, not business been in the industry, but how long have you as the operator been in that industry? And how long have you been in a management role in that industry? Has the business been profitable? If you've just started up, obviously you haven't been profitable. So again, it's not a deterrent, but we will score it accordingly. I'm going to pause there. I would assume there might be some questions related to that. So I don't know, Marla, if anybody's posted a question, please let me know.
Yes, let's see. I think we had one question actually that came in our registration form. If we could just address are your clients specifically from Hawaii only, and or are you accepting clients from other parts of the country?
So California and Hawaii are where we lend throughout the entire state of Hawaii. In California, I think we're able to lend throughout the entire state, but we are focused in the San Francisco Bay Area and Central Valley. I don't know, Patty's popped up, so maybe she's got additional comments there. Thank you, Patti.
No, that's accurate, Aaron.
And then we also had a question, do you have a business plan template that applicants can follow? And is that part of your TA platform?
Yes, it is. And I would like to reiterate is you do not need a complete loan complete business plan to come apply for a loan from us. Don't wait until you have that in hand. I would suggest that you start seeking out capital for your business sooner than later. You're always in a better position if you need the money later than yesterday. But yes, there is templates online. I see a hand up there. Other questions?
Any other questions? I can call it out if so.
I just want to say that I just put the link. Hopefully you guys can see that, or maybe I need to press enter. I put the link to our technical assistance platform that does include the business plan template there. So it's there in the chat, but I will also send it to Marla. You will need to create an account just by simply providing an email and creating a password. But again, I'll send that to Marla so that she can send it out to everybody. There's lots of templates on there, actually. There's cash flow templates, there's business plan templates, there's calculators that you can use. And yeah, there's a lot of helpful stuff. But again, I will send it to Marla as well.
I have a question.
So I wanted to
Go ahead.
get this.
Does this particular lender offer project-specific lending? So not lending specific to a business per se, but a specific project like development of housing, a single, like a sixplex or an apartment building?
There are other lenders that I'll get to at the end of the slide that would probably be better suited to that. I think Hawaii Community Lending here in Hawaii, and then Habitat for Hawaii Association. I think both those two organizations provide housing lending. It's something we're interested in and looking at, but I don't know if currently we have the capacity to do that. Again, I don't know, Patti, if you wanted to chime in. I know we've looked at it.
No, that's correct. We would probably, at most, we'd be able to work in partnership with others. But as Aaron pointed out, there are others that are better qualified at that we would gladly make an introduction with you. I also wanted to respond to a question in the chat room. If someone doesn't qualify for a loan at this time, do we provide actionable steps or assistance so that they may qualify in the future? And the answer is absolutely. Aaron has worked with people for over a year.
You want to listen on Anna, it's you want to get into business, learn.
So Aaron has definitely worked with people for more than a year before to help resolve certain issues or problems that they may have, either in permitting, in debt consolidation, et cetera. And then we've been able to make a loan very happily.
I see
I have
another.
a quick question. Sorry. I just wanted to clarify. So you said that you do funding or loans for Hawaii and then mostly like the central part of California. So would it be safe to say then, just to clarify, Southern California is not included?
What part of Southern California?
I'm in Southern California. I'm in Riverside County.
We should have a conversation.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry to not be able to give you a direct
No,
answer.
it's
but
okay. Yeah, it's okay. I'm
Please.
just curious because I'm actually, my business is growing. And so I had gotten into contact with Lindustry. So I had gotten pre-approved for a certain amount and I'm working on the paperwork. And like you said, it's a lot of extra paperwork, but I also am open to my options. So yeah, so I will have a sidebar, I guess, with you, Patti.
Okay, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We had a hand raised from
I have
Otokonda.
a question. Yes.
Yes,
Oh, you want to go ahead? Go ahead and say.
go ahead and ask your question.
Oh, yeah. I was asking, I'm in California. I'm asking, do you fund a business? Is it only profit or non-profit? And the second one, do you fund business that's services business? That's another, like goods and, I want to.
The answer is yes. We do fund for-profits and nonprofits. They have to be business loans, not personal loans. And services, yeah. So if it's a business, we can lend to it. We're not so concerned about what the end product is. Again, reiterating that we are focused on the food system, but not to the exclusion of other businesses.
Okay, thank you.
If you're in Hawaii, there is a CDFI called Hawaii Community Reinvestment Corporation, HCRC, that is focused on nonprofits. But again, that's for Hawaii.
No, I'm in California. I'm in the Bay Area.
California, yeah, okay. I'm not sure, Patti, if you're aware of another organization.
No, I will also put in the chat room my phone number. So those who have California specific questions, and we can talk one-on-one if you give me a call.
Thank you, Patti.
Sure.
let's see here. I guess I can move.
Yes, I think we can move forward. There is a question about how to begin the process to submit an application for a loan, and I know you'll cover that, you know, as we progress.
Yeah, so I'll address that right now. I think that would be sort of this slide, and really, if you completing a loan application and submitting that, there's a form. If you want to follow, at the end, I have a slide with our email addresses on, or if Marla can put you in contact with us. You know, it would be getting that signed document and having a conversation with myself, Shandis, or Eric, who couldn't join us today, and we can walk you through that. But you know, that's it. I would focus on getting your tax returns, loan application, and a credit report together. Those a monthly budget is also a key piece as well. So that's you know, what is your household income and household expenses. That's primarily a key piece of information if your business currently doesn't cover its own expenses and outside income is required to support that. But those documents are the key things to submit to get the ball rolling. I think the next section was going over some of the other lenders that were available. I've got this slide I came across yesterday, which I thought was interesting, just showing the approval rates, the various types of institutions, big banks, you know, being Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, more conservative, they have a lower approval rate. Credit unions, a little more community minded, have a slightly higher rate. And your smaller community banks, even higher than that. And then your alternative lenders, which does include CDFIs, but it also includes, you know, some of those online lenders as well, have a, you know, a 55% approval rate. So I think, you know, that's good to know. I would always, for us as a CDFI, we do require that you have been declined elsewhere, and other lenders do as well. So I would always encourage folks to, you know, start out at the place where you have a bank account. They're going to have all your information. They're going to know you for the most part, and you can probably fairly quickly move through that process and then go elsewhere to another lender. And so the following slides are sort of in order of, you know, from a startup where you would go for $10,000, a $2,000 to a $15,000 loan. So Kiva is sort of a crowdfunding lender. They have a platform where you post a little story about yourself, and you can raise up to $15,000. I believe they're at 0% interest. So that's a great place to start, and it does force you to work on your marketing a little bit if you haven't done that yet. You know, have a website up and start pulling some pictures together. So that's a good place to start. Here again, this is Hawaii focused. There's the Kahala Center Hawaii Food Producers Fund. If you're a food producer, this is a great place to go as well. We work with them as a participating lender and you know, graduate their borrowers up. It's very similar to the Kiva process. I think the loans go up to 15 or 25,000 when we participate. Slow Money Hawaii, they have a pool of you know, private individuals that invest in companies. Again, Kiva is the access point to get into slow money. Mary Spadero is the woman that runs that. Very dedicated and passionate about you know, getting capital out to the small business agricultural community here in Hawaii. USDA Farm Service Agency, if you need to buy a tractor, that's the place to go. I won't dwell too much on the farming stuff here. I don't know how many farmers we have. It's pretty farm heavy. Steward is similar to Kiva. It's another crowd-based online platform. They do have an interest rate. And so similar thing, you go there, you post a story, and you can try to raise capital. Here's the other CDFIs that are in Hawaii. Somebody asked about the housing earlier. So there's Hawaii Community Lending and the Hawaii Habitat for Humanity Association. I believe both those organizations are places I would reach out to for housing capital. Hawaii Community Lending will lend to individuals, seeking housing. The Hawaii Community Reinvestment Corporation will lend primarily to nonprofits. The CNHA, the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement, their focus is on Native Hawaiians, but they lend to anybody that's, doing work in the community. Those are the main ones here in Hawaii. I think that really covers that section. I would just open it up for discussion now. If people have more questions, we can entertain those.
We had one question, Aaron, on the registration. Just what is the time frame for beginning the process to a possible successful loan, so people understand, what their investment is in just time?
Yeah, that's a great question. So now we can't control the time it might take an applicant to get all the documents together and submit those. If you haven't filed taxes for a while, that can be a bit of a speed bump. But assuming that we have received a complete application, we have a loan committee meeting every 2 weeks. We meet on a Friday morning, and we present the completed loan applications, and we would get our internal approval at that point. So, by 9:30, 10 o'clock, we can send out texts and calls to folks and let them know they've been approved or what they might need to do to get approved. So backing up a little bit, I would say from receiving that loan application, it would be a week to up to 2 weeks if you just missed the last loan committee to get our internal approval. That still doesn't mean that you have the money in your account yet. Depending on the size of the loan and the source of the funding. On the outside, if it's we're using our EDA funds, we have to get separate approval from them. It's usually just a rubber stamp, but they have to see that all of the proper paperwork has been filed and it's all in order. I would say up to a month at the most. I don't think it's ever taken that long, but I just like to manage people's expectations to as little as an additional few days. I think what I tell people then, I think the short answer is anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks is what I would expect from receiving a completed loan application to cash in your account. I will point out that if your loan is under $10,000, we are able to have that approved outside of the loan committee. So we don't need to wait for that loan committee meeting every 2 weeks, and that can be moved through a little bit quicker. But short answer is 2 to 4 weeks.
Thanks, Aaron. I'm calling out for any last questions. Any other questions?
I see one in the chat from a farmer in Waimanalo. So Kahala Center, is Kahala Center for the Big Island only?
It's a good question. I know some of their funds are Big Island only, Native Hawaiian only, but I don't know what they have outside of that. Happy to work with whoever asked that question to make an introduction to the folks over there. But we could also work with you.
Yeah, and our loan percent fee.
Good question. We're currently, our interest rate is 4%. Loan closing fee is 2.5% of the borrowed amount.
I actually have a question for the attendees, just out of curiosity, if you guys don't mind typing into the chat. I would love to know what kind of businesses you all have, just so we can sort of get to know the audience as well. So if you'd like, just type it in the chat.
For the Waimanalo farmer, I would, if you're looking for an amount under 15,000 or under, I would try to get on the the Kiva through the Kahala Center. Eric Bowman, who's not here today, but his email is right there on the slides. I would reach out to him and ask him about that. I think that's a great place to start.
Oh, we got some really interesting businesses here. Awesome.
Thanks, everyone. I think we still have some messages coming in. I did want to conclude with, next steps. If you really are interested in assessing your business, learning more about the potential for loans, and talking further with Feed the Hunger Fund, maybe Shandis can speak to some of the ways to start that process.
Yeah, so, we are happy to help with any additional questions you might have. We are open to you emailing and contacting us directly. And there is Erin has a slide up for our contact information, and Patti also had put her information in the chat for those of you in California. But even you can contact any of us and we will connect you with the appropriate team, whether you're in Hawaii or California. I did want to say that if you're in California, we do have another California team comprised of 2 people who are not on this presentation, but they would serve the same purposes that Erin and I and Eric would serve for the people here in Hawaii. Or if you would like, you can also contact Marla directly and she can do an email introduction or anything like that. But we would really love to talk to you guys. And just, if you have questions, which I know there probably will be questions. If you might look like that cat on that question slide that came up earlier, just like, but if you have any additional questions that come up, if you would like to talk to Erin and myself, we are really happy to do a Zoom for now, conference meeting, a phone call, whatever is easiest for you guys. But yeah, please reach out. And, I thank you guys. I've seen notifications that 5 of you have already signed up for the technical or have opened accounts for our technical assistance platform. So yeah, feel free to just utilize that. It's 24/7 and that account is yours now. So if you have any questions with that technical assistance platform, please reach out to us as well. So yeah, thank you so much.
I did see a question in the chat. Sorry, Shandis.
Yeah.
SBA loans. We're not an SBA lender. For most of your SBA or SBA guaranteed loans, what you would need to do is work with your bank and let them know that that's what you want to do, and then they apply for the guarantee once they approve you. But I would reach out to if it's through the USDA or find a contact there, and they can tell you what banks they work with. They'll prefer not to because they don't want to recommend a bank. But I would just, if you currently have a business bank account, I ask that bank that you're at about SBA loans.
Thanks, Erin and Shandis. Is there any last questions while we have them on board here?
Yeah, I have a question. I wanted to know, I didn't see on the chat, I've been looking. So if I want to contact or start the process, what should I do, or where should I go from here?
To apply for a loan?
Yes.
Yeah, so there, just send an email to any of those 3 emails on the screen right now.
Yep.
Okay.
And we will send you the application. Marla, I think that's actually something I could send to you as well, just our application packet when you just do your distribution to everybody. But yeah, you can definitely contact any of us and we can send it to you directly.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I see another question in the chat. Let's see. Erin, do you see the question? If someone is trying to apply for financing through their bank, do you have any tips on approaching and building a relationship with a business banker? Also, how to go about finding a good banker and what should they be looking for?
It's every bank is different. It really depends on the personalities of the people you work with. You're dealing with human beings, and they're all different. I think most banks tend to be conservative and want you to have all your stuff figured out and easy for them. I think if you looked at the approval rate for most banks, right, it's a little bit lower, and I think that's just because of the volume they get, and because of that, they're able to be a little more picky. But in terms of building a relationship with a specific banker, and often there's lunches and trade things. If I don't know if COVID's probably put a hamper on that, but those are places I would start. I know those, when they're doing $1 million, $10 million loans, they certainly are more interested than if you're trying to get a $50,000 loan. So that can be a challenge as well. But I don't have a real good answer except, just start shaking hands and talking to folks at the bank. They might have a better idea for where you're at.
And I do see another question that says, do you have any information on grants and where to look for grants?
If you're in the state of Hawaii and you're in agriculture, the Kahala Center is an amazing resource. Megan Blazak is the person there that I would try to get a hold of. For other grants, the various institutions and organizations have their own at the federal level, and looking at their websites is a good start, but perhaps not the most helpful. I would try to just call the branch, your local branch, get the number. They have phone numbers. You can reach out to them. Their job is to deploy that capital. And so they are interested in speaking with you and helping you get applications in. So I wouldn't be shy about, pursuing that. And it really depends on what sort of business you're doing or what the grant is for. The SBA, Small Business Administration, is a good place. They have, grants there, some small grants, development grants. Without knowing exactly what type of grant, and even then, I don't know if I would know, but just start calling folks. I think, in the internet age, and I'm a bit of an introvert, so I don't like to talk to people too much, but just picking up the phone and calling people really does seem to is the best way. Other questions?
Any last questions? I did want to say, and it's come up in a number of our webinars, that we have such a great array of businesses that find themselves in this conversation collectively on Zoom and often want to network with one another. And we do have a business directory on our Enterprising Women of Color website. So you can email me if you have an interest in participating in that directory, because part of our mission is to grow the network of women of color entrepreneurs, to patron one another, to support one another. So that's definitely, we don't distribute the email lists of our registrants to each other on these webinars, but we do have that directory option, and we look forward to creating more networking opportunities between our businesses moving forward this year. So do ask me on email or check out our website and I can send you the information for that. Okay, and I think if there's any last any last questions here, I really appreciate Feed the Hunger representing financing through loans in this subject. And again, our first access to capital webinar of the year. It was a lot of information. And like they mentioned, you can reach out directly to them to get further advisement about your specific situation, and we will be helpful as a referral anytime for this or other business needs. So please do keep us informed about your businesses, your challenges, your upcoming interests, and we're really happy to work with you all. Did you have any other comments or any other suggestions, Shandis, Aaron?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody for taking the time out of your day to come and listen to me fumble through some words. So thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful week and an amazing 2022. Mahalo.
Yes,
Hello,
thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, Marla.
Yeah, it's so terrific having you here. I see so many familiar faces, names, businesses in our list here. So thank you for